Okay, here's a subject that I feel is extremely important and maybe is not understood that well by mankind. And I think that if I was, when I was younger, if I'd have learned this earlier, I could have been a much happier person. And I'm thinking about survival and exchange. And in life, there is no island. No person is an island unto himself. That's why hoarding economies is a violation of that concept also. So like hoarding based properties that don't ever, or hoarding based ideologies economically seek to isolate a person from exchanging on all the other aspects of the society in which he lives, and then it causes an imbalance or a non-symbiotic sort of state where a person is parasitic. Parasitic, what does it mean? Okay, so you're taking, and you're not giving back nearly as much in exchange. And that's kind of what that concept is. This is a dangerous position to be in. A criminal seeks to achieve some end, to acquire goods and services or a product or whatever, and to receive it, to take it, without working or producing or doing, which is an exchange, an outward exchange that reciprocates for the action that he wants to receive. Any imbalance along these lines can be remedied by finding the dichotomy and working the opposite of whichever one is stuck. So, in other words, if you want to cure somebody or make them relieve their issues of existence, a person, you can basically find those areas of life where the person is secretly or outwardly seeking to take only and not give back fairly in exchange. And in fact, there is a higher level of exchange which is even above that, which very few people even get to in life, and I'm going to explain that a little bit. This is just sort of my own thoughts. This is not actual, I could be way wrong. I'm just sort of, thinking. But where a person seeks to take only and not give out, you'll find he has issues, and it's not possible for him to be happy in that area of his life or dynamic. Or you could have a slave where he's forced to give, and he never gets to take back what's fair. So anyway, any imbalance, and it's modified, is proportionate to the person's own self-determinism, okay? So that means it's sort of modified by each person, each individual, what he thinks is fair. But we all kind of have a similar standard, right? So anyways, let's take for a person in the life cycle, the human condition. A person's born, they live for some time, and then they die. And here's the thing with every living successful life form is, like, in the beginning they're quite dependent on the environment around them, and they're not symbiotically connected very well, because when a newborn or whatever is required to receive and take a lot, and he's not really able to give back all that much. But if you look carefully at a child, you'll see that they do try to cheer you up, and they try to smile, and they try to do things for you as an exchange. Even with a cat, you'll see they'll kill some bird and put it on your doorstep. Well, that's a sign that they've taken food from you, or they've taken something, and in exchange, they're actually trying to do something back for you. So life has these symbiotic balances that it's trying to work out. And the successful ones, The successful exchanges are ones where both parties mutually benefit. These are the ones that are mutually beneficial exchanges. When you sum them all up over time, is nature. Okay? Nature is basically the sum of all the mutually benefit and the evolution, and I'm not saying it's static. It's not, because it's an ongoing thing, right? And you'll see trees are taking in oxygen and they're giving out some other gas, and a mosquito bites you and he takes in your blood. He actually shoots into you some other fluid. Exchanges are everywhere. People complain about mankind on planet Earth because he takes so much from the Earth and he just doesn't give back enough. He doesn't take care of the Earth, and instinctually we know that that's wrong. Because if we kept doing that, it would eventually result in our extinction. So as a child, a person is very needy, and they need to take more than they give. That's my theory. Is like at the beginning of life, you've taken, so you have a debt to your parents or to the world around you as a child. By the time you're large enough to produce any kind of a product, I'm not going to say it's relative to age. It's not. But so we should be seeking. Adolescence is the learning of how to produce within the society. Then manhood begins at the point where one can give back to life the way that in a fair way what he perceives he has received thus far. That's manhood. That's the start of manhood. That's what a man is, and I can do a whole talk on why we have a huge population that actually doesn't ever get to the point where each person has an ability to give back to the world what they've taken in so far, and so we have a bunch of people that don't grow up. They have hourly wage instead of production that actually gives back to the world. And so we have people who are not product driven, and their minds are broken, and they are slaves in that degree, and they don't own their own production, right? They are not responsible for the things that they receive or put out. But if a man can get to the point where he can become equal with those things that he's taken in thus far in his lifetime, and he can match them, so he becomes equal in his own, proportionate in his own mind, he can grow to the next level of what a man really is intended to do, which is to give much more than he takes in. And this is a concept that I think a man should, not female or male, it doesn't matter, but a person. This is where the highest levels of happiness is actually where a person reaches very high levels of production and assists others to achieve higher levels of production, and that production produces actual results in the minds of other people and gains approval and reciprocates, And if a man can achieve this on a really high level, he can understand life in a different way, and he actually seeks to achieve a sort of a godlike status, and that's where he can purely give, maybe infinitely. Although that's probably debatable. He never actually achieves this, right? Because man is mortal, right? But he could be striving towards this sort of immortality of exchange, which would be unlimited givingness. And in that way, I think man's nature is strongly... Man is trying to give much, much more than he is trying to take. And the people that you don't like, and if you look back everywhere in your life, they try to take more than they give. Or make you give when you don't want to, right? But man instinctively is very generous. And if he could, cancel out all of his inequities by giving back. I do believe as a young child you have a sense of obligation back to the world because somebody raised you. Maybe you had a shitty upbringing and you don't owe them back very much.
And I go, dude,
that can have its own advantages too, because for you the inequity is very small. So for you to feel like you're fair with the world, you could do so at a very young age. So there are some advantages of having very little guidance at a young age. It allows you to break off and become a man much sooner. But at the same time, having less guidance requires much more responsibility. Just a cool thing I'm thinking about, exchange, you know. And it's not just money. Money follows this, but like I do something for you, you do something for me, and it's reciprocation, right? In a way that benefits and is mutual for both parties or all parties involved. Okay? Think about it and tell me what you think. Thank you so much.